Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is up, Steeler fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Post-Game Show right here on the Steel Curtain Network. The Steelers are victorious 34-12 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey, it's so great to be on a post-game show that's on a 1 p.m. game. It's been a long time for me, over a month, and it's even better to be on a post-game show after a Steelers victory. And I got to say, even better beyond that, when it's won by multiple scores.
Very nice. What's up, Bryan? How are you?
No defibrillator today, so that's a really good thing. I got to tell you, I did not have friends over today. I did not have them over during the Colts game, and I think my friends are going to be evicted from coming over ever again because it was a nice win, a nice day, and some pleasant surprises in this game as well. Guys stepping up. I really I fell for this team again.
Yeah, it's a week-to-week thing. Aaron Rodgers said, we don't want to ride the roller coaster. Fans, that's all they do is ride the roller coaster. Yeah. It's entertaining. Like, that's what we do. I mean, so I get it. Let's do knee-jerk reactions before we get to some super chats that are starting to file in. Dave, I'll let you go first. What's your knee-jerk reaction after the win?
Knee-jerk reaction is this was the team that was the best offense over the last 4 weeks of the NFL. And the Steelers, not only did they hold them to 12 points, the Steelers defense outscored the Bengals this week, which was really nice. It looks really good with that 34. You're like, oh, the offense is really going. Man, you talk about efficient in the second half with the ball. So my knee-jerk reaction is that they went over 30. They kept their opponent under 20. Good job. You did what you needed to do. Turn around. Let's go beat the Bears.
I love it. Bryan, knee-jerk reaction. What do you got?
Something that you two might not agree with me because we kind of talked about it beforehand, but I was pleased all 4 quarters of this game. I was not feeling that the Steelers offense was that bad. They weren't good. They had a better showing in the second half, but I felt comfortable this entire game. And there's a lot of things I liked. Some guys that need to be used more, and some guys that need to go ahead and figure out exactly where they are here, but nobody that you have to really go ahead and put in timeout. You don't have to put him in the timeout chair. The only person you have to talk to is Jalen. Calm down.
Well, Jalen Ramsay, we'll talk about him.
Jalen Ramsay, yeah.
And not Jalen Warren, yeah. Unfortunately, my knee-jerk reaction is it's a huge win, it's great, and then there's kind of like some water being doused on you with some injuries. And so we'll talk about the injuries real quick before we get to the super chats. Mike Tomlin spoke to the media after the game. Aaron Rodgers, a wrist injury, which kept him out in the second half. Tomlin would not give any specifics, nor should he at this time. They're going to wait to be further evaluated. It was definitely interesting that it was his non-throwing hand, that he couldn't come back in. Nonetheless, we'll learn more on Tuesday. I'm sure we might get reports before then. Also, Keyshawn Williams is in the NFL's concussion protocol. Was that after the opening kickoff that he got hurt? I think it was.
I believe so.
I mean, it was after the opening kickoff. Yeah, I don't think there was another play that he was out there. So
I think it was during the opening. Yeah, I think he got tackled on the opening kickoff. Other injuries, though, Jalen Warren dealt with an ankle injury, was able to return. But down the stretch, they absolutely it was all Kenneth Gainwell. And probably it was very smart to do that. Kenneth Gainwell was playing well. They had enough horses in the running back room. Obviously, Caleb Johnson as well. But Jalen Warren might be dealing with an ankle injury. And then Brandon Echols also with, I think, was that a foot? Was that labeled a foot? Do we know?
Was that
for Brandon Echols? He left for a couple of plays and came back with a wrap on his foot. I didn't know if it was foot or ankle, but
it was. I don't know. It might have been foot, and because he was hurt multiple times. I don't even know if it was the same thing both times.
Called tarsal/metatarsal.
Yeah,
just throw bones out there. There you go. All right, let's get to some super chats here. Dude scores 1995, gives us 4.99. Says only thing love more than a Steelers victory is Arthur Smith's love for a toss play. Thanks for all the work y'all do. Here we go, Steelers. Thank you very much. Arthur Smith does love the toss play. That is for sure. But with certain backs, now it seems like all the backs they have in their roster on their roster right now thrive with that. Caleb Johnson's his own guy. Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, but he does love the toss. All right, Tom plays games, or Tom Muir gives us $6. Says $1 per W. Is Rudolph going to have to save Christmas again? Pierre's been a stud since coming in. Great to see 2 defensive touchdowns. Here we go. Dave, what are you thinking? You're scratching your chin.
Yeah, here's the thing with Pierre that's I can't remember who pointed this out. Can't remember if I saw it on social media or in a live chat. But when someone pointed out, I'm like, that's a good point. James Pierre is a better man corner than zone corner. And when he's struggled in the past, like I know last year, there's times like, oh, James Pierre came in, it was not good. But when he comes in, they'd have him play zone. The Steelers have been playing more man this year. I think he actually fits in well with that. And I thought he played fantastic.
Absolutely. Brian, any thoughts?
Yeah, he just keeps on keeping on. He's that guy that will come in there and do what he needs to do. But I've noticed on man, because he's got the speed for it, and he's a guy that just plays a whole heck of a lot better. I like that speed factor. It's something that he hasn't lost. I guess, he's a cousin of Lamar Jackson, and so there's definitely speed in that family. And if he hung out with Lamar Jackson, he probably had to try to keep up with him when they were kids, because they're not that far apart in age. So I would just kind of say that, yeah, that works for him. It's not a guy that you want starting every week. It's the guy that you want to break glass in case of emergency. And that's the same with when we get to talking about Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, let's go to Wilson Pava because I want to bring this up. He gives us $1.99. He said, he's talking about Jalen Ramsay. His ejection doesn't bother me. Saw no punch. It's being reported now, and this was actually being kicked around Twitter during the game, that Jamar Chase potentially spat on Jalen Ramsay, and that's why he was going absolutely bonkers. I got an ESPN alert just a few seconds ago stating that Ramsay says he did. Jamar Chase denies it. I don't know. What did you guys think about the ejection? Dave, go ahead.
Well, there were some people that brought it up because it looked like it from the video that they thought it was potentially that happened. I don't know for sure. But my thing wasn't that going to be a second unsportsmanlike anyway, whether he threw a punch or not? Wouldn't that have, is it 2 unsportsmanlike?
Not all unsportsmanlikes are eligible for ejection.
But the previous one, they said it was towards that.
Yes.
So obviously, whether it was a punch or a push, it was probably going to happen. But I tweeted this out right away. I said, that was the Bengals game plan. They lined up for it on 4th down to try to draw the Steelers off. And if they didn't say, come on, Jamar, he's a loose cannon, you can get him to get us the first down on the penalty.
Yeah.
I think it was calculated. You can tell me it wasn't. I'm going to believe that it was. It seemed too calculated that he went up to him. I mean, think about this. This whole thing started happening more on the Steelers side of the line of scrimmage. Chase went out of his way to move towards Ramsay to try to set him off. You've got to be better than that. But you know what? That's bottom line is 34-12.
Yeah, and Brian Haynes gives us $2, and I want to bring it up quickly. He says, Chase spit on Jalen, and that's what we're talking about. He said, maybe avoid suspension. And that is something that you have to think about. Thank you for the $2 tip, by the way, Brian, that if they find out that he did, that is Jamar Chase, spit on Jalen Ramsay, then the league might not decide to try and pursue like him being suspended a game. I'm not sure if an ejection automatically equates in potential suspension or not. I'd have to go back. I don't want to say the wrong thing in this regard.
Yeah.
But Bryan Davis, what was your take on all that?
All right. Dave's comments. Here's my poker chips right here. I'm doubling down on those poker chips. Yes, it was intentional. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at that end of the game, I was shocked that Joey Porter did not get a penalty on Jamar Chase that was way after the whistle, and he whipped him down, had a lot of things to say to him. They were pissed. A lot of people were jawing at Jamar Chase. They know what happened on that field. And Jalen, yeah, he's a loose cannon, but he's not that dumb of a player. He's actually very intelligent, and it's going to have to take something like spit to really get you that ticked off. So I'm just going to go ahead and say right there, yes, I've seen that kind of stuff from Jamar Chase in the past. I would not put it past him. League needs to look a little bit more on that. Yeah, you throw the punch, you do the crime, second man in. We know every single time. But yeah, once again, my poker chips, I'm doubling down.
Well, the funny thing is that when you coach, play, compete in anything, there's like a level of intensity that you're used to seeing. And then there's times where certain things happen where it gets ratcheted up to another level. And you think to yourself, that was not just a shove. That was not just him saying something to him. Something else happened.
Yeah.
The way that Jalen...
He snapped. You can see.
The way that Jalen Ramsay was needing multiple players, coaches, like the whole defense to get him off the field, I thought to myself, something else had to happen. That it wasn't just that Jamar Chase said, hey, man, you suck. Like, he didn't say that to cause him to flip out. I'm not saying that he did or didn't. I don't know. That's just what's being reported. But hopefully, fingers crossed, Jalen Ramsay does not get suspended by the league and he's able to play in next Sunday's game.
And I think that's part of the reason why Cam Hayward's grabbing a hold of him. When I say you got to keep it together, I'm meaning more about as you're getting off the field. I was so worried he was going to do something else because he was so mad about that would make it almost more of an automatic suspension for next week.
Yeah.
You don't want it to carry over into multiple weeks.
Great point. Great point. All right, let's go to Justin Gall. He gives us 999. Says, have to start with the defense again. 3 consecutive outstanding performances. The new scheme is working. Props to Pierre and Herbig. A complete game. Anything to say there, guys? Dave?
It's been different since they added Duggar at safety and put Ramsey there. It just feels different.
Absolutely. Brian?
Okay. I'm doubling down again. Malik Washington.
Who's that?
Malik
Washington.
Who's that?
No. Oh, okay, wait.
Malik Harrison?
Malik Harrison.
I was watching, the Dolphins game.
I'm doubling down on that.
I was wrong up that there. No, Malik Harrison. I think I've called him Washington before.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harrison, he's tough in the middle there too. And you're not running on the Steelers as well when he is in there. I have noticed that. When this game started, though, it looked like maybe the second or third drive, it looked like Chase Brown was going to get going. He had a long one, but I still think they ended up keeping him close to 100. I'm not
Chase
sure
Brown
exactly.
Individually, he had 18 carries for 99 yards.
Whoa, yeah, you kept him under. There you go. I just got to tell you, I really think that, I agree with Duggar. I agree with Harrison. I agree with me then. But anyways, I just kind of feel like that defense is figuring some things out. Also, when you give Herbig more time, and of course he had more time in there, more playing time, and we don't want him to have it because a guy's out like Highsmith. But yeah, 6 sacks. What's he leading the team?
Oh, that's a good question. He might.
I don't know. Well, Highsmith had 4 in the previous 2 games combined. So
he was hurt for most of the time before that. It might be a close between those two, but he has more than TJ. TJ only has like 4, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll look it up. Anyways, let's go to this next one. Nathan Smith gives us 499. Says, Dave, can you explain the roughing the passer after Joe Flacco loses control of the ball and TJ tipped it in the process of the tackle? Dave, go ahead.
Tipping it in the process of the tackle really doesn't matter. Like you can rough the passer on a sack. You can rough, the tipping of the ball is about what the defenders can do to the receivers. Now, him losing the ball and regaining it, that still doesn't change the fact that he can still throw the ball. So he's still the quarterback. That all came down to them saying that he landed with his full weight on the quarterback. I'll just say it. I thought it was kind of weak, but at the same time, it's not like it wasn't close to where it was the most ridiculous call ever. I thought it was a bad call, but I felt that there was other calls in this game that were much worse than that one.
I agree. Just to clarify, TJ Watt is leading with 6 sacks of the season. Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith have 5.5, with Keanu Benton at 4.5. There you have the sack totals currently.
So wait, but that's through 9 games.
It says games played. TJ Watts has 9. So I thought that ESPN would update this, but maybe they haven't yet.
ESPN has not, because that's through 9. Mm-hmm. So was that was the only sack on the day, right?
It is
just the one.
So then he would be at 6.5. You're right. Yeah. Good point. Good catch. All right, let's go to Justin Gall again. He gives us 1999. He said, Mason showed us that Arthur Smith's scheme does work. Lots of screens, wide open tight ends, and a very strong running game. Was this the offensive line's best performance? Is Rodgers leaving a clean pocket too quickly? Dave, let's throw it to you first.
Well, it's tough to say if it was their best performance because it's not like they were going up against the 85 Bears here. So you do have to put that into perspective. You want them to keep your quarterback upright and give him plenty of time, which it felt like they did. A lot of the pressure, everything was kind of brought on Rodgers by himself at first watch from this. Maybe if you break it down a little bit more, it might not be quite as much. I know Broderick Jones, he was really struggling. You're going to see him miss a day or two of practice this week, probably. But he pushed through. But I think the offensive line, I thought they did a pretty nice job. I mean, my goodness, Mason Rudolph, was he even touched? I
don't think so.
That's what I was trying to remember. So I thought the offensive line, like I said, it was a good performance, but you also got to put it a little bit into perspective.
Absolutely. Brian, any thoughts?
Yeah, really no. I don't think that I think Dave's right on that. It's kind of hard to say that he's rushing his way out of trouble because they're different kind of quarterbacks. Yes, I will say yes. I do think that the system works. I just don't know if I'm going to say that Rodgers is playing it the wrong way because he does find ways to get things done too.
Yeah. And we said this before we hit record when we were talking about Mason Rudolph, is he was just taking what the defense was giving him.
Yeah.
And sometimes a guy like, Aaron Rodgers is not just willing to just check it down all the time. He wants to drive the ball down the field. And I get it. But hell, look at last year when Russell Wilson went into Cincinnati against the same defense. And what did he do? Checked it down, and they just annihilated the Bengals that way. Sometimes there's some simple measures to having success. Let's go to Tyler W. Gives us $4.99. He said the Duggar for Thornhill was the most important acquisition move this season. Really locked down the back end. Good adjustment by Austin and company. Any thoughts on Kyle Duggar, who had a pick six in this game?
Should have had two.
Well, not a pick six, 2 interceptions. Yeah,
well,
I don't think he would have.
I think he had a clear shot to the end zone on the first one that he dropped. But yeah, it's not very often that you get a chance to have a second pick six in a game after you don't come through with the first one. So I'm really glad that he made the most of it. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely. Brian, thoughts on Duggar?
I'm separating this from Minka back in 2019. This is the best mid-season acquisition that I've seen the Steelers make in a long, long time. Minka's was at the beginning of the season, right before week 3. This was basically, and Tomlin called it this, a trade deadline deal because it was a couple of days before the deadline. That still counts. So I'm saying this is one of the best I've seen because those guys don't get on Tomlin's moving train that easy. He was forced on that train, and now he has a season's pass on that train.
Was it Eric Reed that the Steelers picked up as a free agent, as a safety a couple years ago, who came in and just did a really good job, had a couple interceptions just off the couch? Was it Eric, or is that the right name? Or was it not Reed?
It doesn't seem quite right.
It was Eric something.
We'll think of it. Someone in the live chat, I'm sure, will tell us.
I think you were 25.
Something like that. Okay, I'll think of it.
It wasn't last year. It was the year before, right?
Correct.
It was in 23.
Eric Rowe.
Bro, there you go.
That's it.
Thank you.
Bro.
Thank you. I knew it started with an R.
Yeah.
All right.
We got all kinds of people there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nicholas Gabriel, that was a good pickup, by the way, is what I'm trying to draw the connection to. Former Patriot as well, Eric Rose. So, all right. Yeah. Nicholas Gabriel gives us $2. As Ramsay said, Chase, spit on him. Hope the NFL checks. The National Football League has cameras out the wazoo in these games. You would think that in a dead ball situation, I don't care if it's a sky cam, you would be able to see something. This reminds me of the Thursday night opener, right? Philadelphia hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And that's when Jalen Carter got ejected. And it turns out Dak Prescott actually spit towards him and stuff and all this stuff. They should have some type of video evidence of that. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you all for the tip.
Honestly, the biggest reason that they might not is, I'm surprised they had that one in that opening game, is because it was between plays. And a lot of times sometimes the cameras are, getting reset to get lined up for everything with the next play.
Geez, everyone knew Eric Rowe. I feel like a moron now.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it either. I was trying to look it up.
All right, let's start to the recap. We start with the offense. We had two quarterbacks in this one. We'll start with Aaron Rodgers. His stat line in the first half, 9 for 15, 116 yards, a 7.7 average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, was sacked once for a 106.5 rating. So we're going to break this down half by half. Dave, what did you think of Aaron Rodgers?
I thought it was all right. The opening drive was great. The opening drive was great. But then it just seemed like there was a little bit of a disconnect. They weren't, I didn't know if it was the wind. I didn't know if it was just Rodgers being antsy. It didn't seem like they were really doing much of anything. And that's because they didn't. Because, I mean, they had the touchdown. Then they had 3 straight drives that ended in a punt. And then they finished off with the field goal at the end. And honestly, if Rodgers isn't hurt, maybe they get a touchdown there. But it was still pretty good to at least get that field goal there. So it was kind of it was hit or miss is the best way I would say it. And to me, I'm going to mention this one now because I'm going to bring it up later. First half under Aaron Rodgers, 2 for 7 on third down. They were 1 for 1 on fourth, but 2 for 7 on third down.
It's still a failed conversion, either way you look at it. Yes, they converted on fourth down, which was questionable, but still, but then they failed on third down to get to that fourth down. So, okay. Brian, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers?
You know what? I did not think he had a horrible game. I kind of felt like he would have got stronger as the second half went. Now, I'm not sure. You might have to correct me on this. I know he was the victim of one push off by DK Metcalf. But was he a bit victim of that long one, or was that Rodgers that threw Rudolph that threw that ball? I cannot remember, but there was a long connection.
That was second half. That was Rudolph. The pick play I think might have happened in the offensive pass interference with DK Metcalf might have been in the first half.
Yes, and that was kind of quite unfortunate. I really don't think that this was a bad showing. I thought it was going to definitely pick up. But, you know, I can't guarantee that. But they won the game, and that's great. We don't know. We can just assume. But I caution you that this is not just all right, time to hook them. It's too early.
Well, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Something looks off with Aaron Rodgers. And it's been the last probably 3 or 4 games, maybe going back to week 7 when they won in Cincinnati. That was like the last time I felt like he looked comfortable in the pocket. Is it a trust issue? Is it the play calling issue? I don't know what the issue is, but to me, something seems off with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying that it's going to be the detriment to the offense for the remainder of the season. We've seen him look comfortable. But I don't know if you guys want to tag in and say something here, but I just don't think he looks right. Everything, I don't know if it's the processing, if it's a trust factor, what it is. And it didn't look right in the first half for me either, except for you take away Jaylen Warren's big run, the 35-yard run. This offense is doing nothing, in my opinion. Dave, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. Go ahead.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying, where I was like a hit or miss. I don't know exactly. I don't know that I can pinpoint it either. I think that's part of the thing. Maybe others can. You know, what I'm waiting for is somebody else to say, "Oh, well, hey, this is really what's going on," and me to go, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense." Because right now I'm not able to come up with it on my own. And someone did ask in the live chat because they weren't here to hear about the injury. It was left wrist.
Yes. Brian, any thoughts on what I said, or are we ready to go to?
No, you're absolutely right. There's something that is a little bit off. I'm not concerned yet.
Yeah. The fact that he didn't come back, even on the sideline, tells me that there might be a break. He might have a broken bone in his wrist, just based on the fact that, I mean, if it was like a sprain or something, it's his non-throwing wrist. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and you know, the story's going to be, the camera's going to be on him the whole time. And the story's going to be what's going on with it. And so.
I was saying more about getting back and playing. Like if it's just a sprain and they're like, you're not going to do any more damage, it's going to hurt like hell. We're going to put a brace on it, but you'll be fine. Will be interesting to see what happens there. Let's go to Mason Rudolph. Now the second half, they go 12 for 16, 127 yards, a 7.9 yard average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was not sacked for 118.5 rating. Mace, what do you think, Dave?
5 for 6 on third down. That's a big difference.
The guys were making plays for him too, though. They were making plays for him.
But you also got to think about it. You had two pretty big conversions there that was basically being Washington smart. Okay, you dump it off to Darnell Washington, who's been running over people, and say maybe he can run over them enough to get the first down. They had done that earlier. Was that in the first half when he did the hurdle? Rodgers had done the same thing. Say, hey, maybe he can run over enough people. He did it there in the second half. And then the other one was the dump off to Gainwell, where they were pointing out that Rudolph would have had Metcalf deep. But honestly, the check down with Washington out in front where you could get the first down, how many times have we said it this season, oh, no, Aaron Rodgers took the deep shot when he probably had the first down if he would have hit the underneath guy, but he was always looking for DK. That might be the biggest thing. Mason Rudolph was going to get DK Metcalf if he was open, but he wasn't just completely focused on DK Metcalf. I think that helps him.
All right, Brian, thoughts on Mace?
I thought he had a phenomenal game. It was great. But where I always get worried, now Jeff said something, I don't know whether this was off camera or on camera, but he said, it's always hard for a guy to come in. There's a lot of pressure for a guy to come in. I always think a little bit differently on that. I think more backups have success, it seems, coming in than starting the next week, because you're not focusing on that quarterback all week long on the other side of the ball. You're focusing on Aaron Rodgers. I always thought that was kind of a cop-out thing, but no, I actually think that that's the truth. So as I was thrilled with his performance, and I thought he did a great job, I will say this. He came in against a terrible defense, and I'm worried that I don't know how sustainable it is.
It worked for this game.
Yep.
It's a bad defense, and they did enough to win. And I've always said Mason Rudolph is a guy that can come in. He can win you 3, 4, even 5 games. Is he a starter in the NFL? I don't think so. But he can win you some games. We saw it in 2023 as he anchored the team's offense on the way to the playoffs, and that big win in Seattle. We'll never forget that, obviously.
But guys, now granted, it's aided because you didn't have the possessions because the defense scored twice. But other than the one at the end of the game that was just a kneel down, the offense only had the ball twice in the second half. And it was 7.5 minutes for a field goal and 6 minutes for a touchdown. Even if it's a bad defense, that's what you want to see. The only thing they could have done better was touchdown rather than field goal touchdown.
Well, and the thing is too, is what it was the play calling in those situations. They didn't go into a shell when the Bengals kicked a field goal and they're clinging to an 8-point lead. And you're thinking, here we go. They're just going to try and run past their way down the field. No, they threw it. And it was, they were controlled passes. They knew where they were going with the football, predetermined reads, but hey, I'm not going to crap on a guy for that. I was happy that Mason came in. I've always been a guy that says Mason Rudolph is a great backup quarterback.
Yes.
And I think that proved it today, although people will still hate on him. I'm going to get this out of the way real quick before we move on. D Heath 65 gives us $2, says Jamar Chase eats bananas for the shape. All right. He loved potassium. So we're going to keep on moving. All righty. Let's go to the running game. Running. Steelers rush for 111 yards as an offense. And I'm looking at, now I didn't have that as a number for my over-under this past week. So Jaylen Warren led the way, 10 carries, 62 yards, a long of 35. It was a great catch and run. Kenneth Gainwell, 9 for 24. He had a long of 12. Caleb Johnson, 5 for 15, and he had another really nice run. He got flagged for a face mask. Sometimes I feel really bad for this guy. I really do. The young man, it just feels like he just can't get out of his own way sometimes. What did you guys think about the running game, Dave?
Well, Jaylen Warren was really good in the first half, and then he didn't get many carries in the second half because of getting injured. So, I mean, in the second half, he was, he had 2 for 8, I think is what it was. But luckily, the Steelers were still getting the job done. I thought, the big run early was the 35-yard run early was really helpful. But, I mean, each team had a 35-yard run at one point of the game. The Steelers had it early in the game. I'll talk about the other one whenever we talk about defense. But running the ball overall, I mean, I felt that they had a good mix of running and passing, the amount that they did it, and that's a lot of what helped.
Brian, thoughts on the running game?
This is where I'm comfortable with this game. I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought you would have seen a lot more of it if they had another possession too. It's just something that I look at here, though. They keep moving the chains, and that's more in the second half, of course, but they did put points up on 2 possessions in the first quarter. In the first half. And so, I was pleased with the way they ran the ball today because it was successful.
Yeah. The running game, I don't know. Do you guys like the scheme they use? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, because you brought that up. When they got pinned deep on when was it? Was that at the last drive of the half? Whatever. That's when I noticed it more than anything. I get so crazy when they run one back and they're under center, and that back seems like he's 9 yards deep at the snap. I'm like, can we be a little bit closer to the line? And sometimes with the toss play, I'm like, you have to run 7 yards just to get back to the line of scrimmage. That kind of bothers me.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like they're just throwing crap against the wall, hoping something sticks. Like it doesn't always feel like, okay, we like this matchup. It felt that way when the jumbo package was being debuted and was really being used. It started in Dublin and carried over. They kind of went to that in the second half, though. That you started to see more Spencer Anderson. Yeah. Let's grind it out. Hello, let's make this the identity of the team. Just because one team might come out and have a really good response to it, we can do this more often than that. So we'll see. All right, let's go to the passing game. We already mentioned the passing numbers in their totals, but Kenneth Gainwell led the Steelers in receiving, 7 catches on 8 targets for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns, a long of 28. Darnell Washington, I'm calling him the Terminator from now on. That guy had the best play. That was one of the most fun plays I have seen in any game in so long. 4 catches on 5 targets for 67 yards. DK Metcalf, 8 targets, 5 catches for 49 yards. Pat Freiermuth, 1 for 1, and then a bunch of other little singular catches. But in total, let's hear 1, 2, 3. 9 players were targeted. 8 players had a reception. What do you guys think about the pass catchers, Dave?
Well, I do find it interesting that, Kenneth Gainwell, 81 yards receiving, 104 yards of yak. He had 23 more yak yards than what he had receiving yards. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Jonnu Smith has not been the guy in this offense for the Steelers. Did the Browns just score a defensive touchdown?
Yeah, pick 6.
Devin Bush. Was that Devin Bush? That is Devin Bush. Sorry. Okay, what were we talking? Seattle has 2 losses. What? Okay. The receivers. Yeah, Jonnu Smith just doesn't seem to really be fitting in with the Steelers offense. It's not that he's not a good player. He's not. It's not like what he was in Miami last year. I don't necessarily think that it's hit. Sometimes you just get that perfect fit, and I don't think that is it here in Pittsburgh.
Okay. What do you think about the pass catchers, Brian?
I did not see drops, and that's usually my barometer. I thought they were getting open. There were some bad passes in the first half, and I will just go ahead and say that. But, as far as everything goes, I was really impressed. I want to talk about, I feel like you need to almost make this guy, Darnell Washington, the Terminator. I like that nickname. Mount Washington, you need to make him almost a feature tight end receiver because he does some very good things. And if he would have taken that all away for a touchdown, that would have not erased it, but it would have moved back to second place, the Vanimal play of 2018, because that Vance McDonald on Monday Night Football Week 3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was absolutely incredible. This was even cooler because he was just plowing. In fact, I think he should have his driver's license suspended if he was in a car for what he did on that play. That was a hit and run, and it was with malicious intent.
And I keep going, Dave.
I was gonna say I don't follow these shows much. Do they even do Angry Runs anymore? Is that show still around?
That is, yeah, on Good Morning Football they do that.
Okay, because I'll be honest with you, that should win Angry Runs.
That might win the year.
Yeah,
I just want to hear Chris Berman call that play. The Vanderbilt stiff arm was also great because I think it was Canty, wasn't it? The safety that he threw down. It ended his season. Like, it hurt him. He went on IR for the rest of the year. But tremendous stuff by the pass catchers. I want to say this. I really liked how in the second half, DK Metcalf was being used, it seemed like, in a different way. They're doing these little short passes to him, yards after the catch, get it to him quickly. And this is where I have more questions than I have answers after a game like this, because when Aaron Rodgers leaves, and obviously you have a situation where Mason Rudolph comes in and has some success, you're asking yourself, well, what's different? Why are they calling the plays differently? If so, why? These things are working. We'll see. Let's finish this up with the offensive line. Again, only 1 sack surrendered. In terms of the Cincinnati quarterback hits, only 4. We can be critical of the offensive line. What do you guys think? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, the 1 sack, I think that goes on Aaron Rodgers. I think he had time, and then he started to bail out, and then he had time to throw it away and opted not to throw it away and then just take the sack. So that one was interesting. I mean, the offensive line hasn't been outstanding all year. This was, let's just say this, they played better than last week. I don't know that it was their best game of the season without having to go back and look. Man, every once in a while you just see a Mason McCormick play that's just out there and you're like, yeah, look at that guy. So that's pretty good. And when you're not noticing them in a bad way, that's really what you want to see more than anything.
Brian, thoughts on the O-line?
I think the same could be said about Troy Fautanu too. I really feel that he is doing some amazing things. In fact, you're hearing some good stuff about him, but I didn't hear much negative from the commentators at all in this game. That includes Broderick Jones, who, like Dave said, was hurting. You could tell he was hurting today, but man, the way he powered through, I give him credit. So, here's a situation where you have Sayamalu, you needed to have him back, and that does a lot for this team too. So I almost give him credit for helping stabilize that line this week as well.
I think for me, when I think about the offensive line, I sometimes have to remind myself how young the majority of these guys are. We're talking about a right side that are all second-year players: center, right guard, right tackle, and Troy Fautanu missed almost all of his rookie season. So I do have to try and remind myself, okay, give him a little bit of grace, give him a little bit of time. And I know you don't like to learn on the job, but sometimes you're not getting granted that all the time. So, all right, we're going to go over to the defensive side of the football right after this break. If you're watching live, we're not going anywhere. If you're listening on podcast, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, and it's time to talk about the Steelers defense. There's a lot to talk about. I thought it was a very good defensive performance. Let's start off with the pass defense. We're talking about controlling Joe Flacco and the pass catchers of the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco finishes 23 of 40, 199 yards, 5-yard average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was sacked only 1 time for a rating of 68.6. And why don't we just go ahead and talk about the receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals? T. Higgins, 3 catches on 8 targets for 63 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant, 5 for 36. Jamar Chase targeted 10 times, 3 catches for 30 yards. Chase Brown, 6 catches on 8 targets for 28. Tanner Hudson, 3 for 22. And Andre Isovich, I think is how you say it, 3 for 20. So what do you guys think about the pass defense here? And Dave, we'll start with you. Let's not do pass rush just yet. Let's just talk about the pass defense.
Well, this is where the Steelers needed to turn things around from the last game. I mean, obviously what was the net pass? He had 199 yards, but then how much did they lose on the sack? Because you look at that, but still they were under 200 yards passing even before you took that away.
199.
That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened since Flacco came in. And my goodness, they had 449 yards passing last week. Yeah. Okay. They had 328 the last time on the Steelers. So to come out and say, you know what, we're not going to let these guys just bury us. We're going to come out here and we're going to shut this down. And also, was it all those yards. Didn't they have a ton of yak yards against the Steelers in the last game? That was part of the problem. Under 100 this game. So to me, the pass defense did a nice. I mean, it felt like they were up on them. That they weren't just starting 10 yards off the ball. I thought James Pierre didn't matter who you wanted to put him on. I thought he did a nice job. It really helps to get a pick six as an interception in there. So I feel in all, it was like a night and day performance with the pass defense compared to the last time they played Cincinnati.
Brian, what's your take on the pass defense?
How good was Jalen Ramsay before he got tossed? For 3 quarters, he was having a great game back there. He was anywhere and everywhere, and he was getting things done. He was popping guys. And I believe it was Ramsay who popped Josevich, and he had 3 catches, and all of a sudden, he's gone. And that was one of the keys of the game. Fant and Josevich, for me, making sure you stop them, because you can stop the other guys, but you can't let these guys turn around and hurt you. And they limited those guys as well. The play on the touchdown with Higgins was Sawyer, I believe, covering.
Yeah, we have a super chat. You want to bring it up, Jeff?
Yeah, I got it. Tyler W gives us $1.99 and says, "Why the hell was Sawyer covering Higgins?" I could tell you
that wasn't on Sawyer.
No, I don't think it was. It was just that it was a long developing play, and no one thought that the wide receiver would cut from the X position all the way across the field, and he had to carry him up the field. I guess.
Yeah, because they were in zone. You could tell because all the defenders are facing the quarterback, and Sawyer had that side of the field, and then he cut deep behind him. And was there someone who should have been behind him, or is it just that the problem is Flacco had way too much time, and you thought guys were getting held was why he had so much time, and then here the flag was on the Steelers. So that was just kind of a weird play.
Agreed. Totally agreed. I think that the secondary performance in this game was incredible based on how thin they were at certain positions. Then you have Eccles in and out of the lineup with his injuries. You have the Ramsay ejection. And it just felt like there was the next man up. You're already without Darius Slay. I thought this was fantastic. And I do want to give some credit to the coaching staff, because we love to sit here and crap on the coaches when things don't go well. But when they have a good plan and they have good execution because of a plan, I want to give them credit too. So we'll do that. All right, let's talk about the run defense. Let's go with Chase Brown. Has 18 carries for 99 yards. They rushed for 105 yards as a team on 22 carries. Taj Brooks has 1 carry for 5 yards. And then Kendall Milton had 2 for 2. They averaged 4.8. I thought that, especially with Chase Brown having the football, the tackling was atrocious in this game. But nonetheless, I don't know. What's your take on the run defense? Dave, we'll let you go first.
I didn't think the tackling was bad. I thought they swarmed to the football really well. That was one, especially in the run game. Now, noticed what happened when they busted out the 135-yard run. That was the first play of the second half. And that was probably something where they came in at halftime, whether the player said something or the coach, they said, "Hey, I think we have them set up to where if we look like we're going here, they're going to cut hard that way. And then if we run this play that goes there, I think we can set them up on this play." That seemed like a very well specific designed play for the very first play coming out of the half. And they did. They found something that the Steelers weren't doing right, and they took advantage on that one play. And luckily, it didn't cost them a touchdown. Yes, it did cost them a field goal, unfortunately, by letting them get down there. But other than that play, that one run play, did they have another double-digit run the rest of the game? I don't know that they did.
There was a couple. It was towards the end of the first half. He started to really – Chase Brown, that is, really started to gain –
He got 15-yarder in the first half. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, he started to really gain some steam, and he was making guys miss, and I was getting really frustrated. So, it is in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal, but ultimately, Brian, what was your take on the run defense?
Yeah, it was, to me, it was so much better than the last game. The run defense did not give the They did not really contain Chase Brown the way they wanted, but what a difference it makes when you don't have to worry about a quarterback destroying you, and they didn't today. But I thought the scheming all the way around on defense was good. Chase Brown, it took him a while to get started, and he got started against the Steelers, but he's pretty good. He is a good player. So as far as everything goes, I liked the defensive performance as a whole. Was it as good as the past defense? Absolutely not, but it's good.
The Bengals offense is what most NFL offenses would strive to want to be, meaning you have an aerial attack that is so lethal that you can't drop that extra defender into the box. And so when you have to play them off, what do? You run it, and you have a good running back. The Bengals are able to do that against the Steelers, but not so much against others. Although I think I did hear them say on the broadcast today that Chase Brown's had over 100 yards in, I think, every game in the last 3 games or something along those lines.
Not rushing yards next.
Okay,
combined.
total.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Yards from scrimmage.
All right. So I'm trying to think what else. Really, that's kind of it for the defensive side. The Steelers obviously have 2 takeaways that equate in 2 touchdowns, and that's just an unbelievable boost for this team.
You didn't do pass rush.
I didn't do pass rush. I knew I forgot something. Thank you. The Steelers sacked Joe Flacco 1 time. In terms of quarterback hits, they were able to get 3. TJ Watt has 1. Nick Herbig has 1. Keanu Benton has the other. It's funny because they were trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but I honestly was watching this and thinking they're getting around him. Like, they were making Flacco move and having to get rid of the ball. I was stunned when I looked at the stats and saw only 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits. I thought the pass rush was at least breaking down the pocket a little bit. Dave, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, the difference was it didn't feel like Joe Flacco was just sitting back there, whether it was a quick pass or whatever, and could be comfortable in what he was doing. He was basically uncomfortable throughout the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brian, what was your take?
One of the reasons he was uncomfortable throughout the game was TJ Watt's penalty against him, which to me, the Steelers got robbed. Mike Pereira or whoever it was in the, I can't remember who was.
Gene Sarator.
Gene.
Mike Pereira, I think he's Fox or something.
Yeah.
But Gene Sarator said the same thing. That was not a penalty to me. I really didn't think it was. I think we could talk about the officiating if you want. I don't want to, but that was a very bad call. The Steelers got some gifts. The Bengals got some gifts in this game, and that was terrible. But I think that set up the rest of the game, making him get rid of the ball even quicker when he got rid of it. But he wasn't effective. That's because he was hearing footsteps. He was worried about 90. He was worried about 51, worried about 97. This was not as comfortable as it was just a few weeks ago when they beat Pittsburgh in Cincinnati.
I'm glad you talked about the penalties because I felt that it evened itself out. Whether you're talking about the offensive pass interference on DK Metcalf, which I thought was ridiculously soft.
On the long completion?
Yes, the long completion down the sideline. Horribly soft. I thought that the pick play was soft as well, especially when on Sunday Night Football the week before, Derwin James came up and tackled DK Metcalf with the ball in the air, and it didn't even get flagged for illegal contact.
He lowered his shoulder to brace for the impact. If you just run into him, they're going to let it go. That's why. I don't think I'm not saying that made it a good call, but at least you understand the reasoning why a little bit more. But the other one was just so bad.
I need to comment on that. I think we're seeing a little bit of what we saw last year with George Pickens, a little bit with Joey Porter Jr. I feel like we're seeing DK Metcalf right now. I don't want to say targeted, but watched a whole lot closer because they know he has the potential to have those plays. And I think he's one of those marked guys that they're like, yeah, this guy does it all the time. We need to call him.
Okay. And you talk about the TJ Watt, it was a super chat earlier. TJ Watt's roughing the passer call, and there were calls on both sides. So, can
I say something about the tush push 4th down play?
Sure.
Because we didn't talk about it otherwise. The problem was where the Steelers stopped short. Yeah. From where the ref blew the whistle. Did they blow the whistle way quicker than what they do when Philadelphia runs it? Yeah. As they kept pushing, did he end up being across the line for a first down? Yeah. But not when the ref started blowing the whistle and running in. He was short then. But then they gave him the yardage that they continued to push to get even after the whistle blowed. What am I saying? That's why it was such a terrible call all around, is because Connor Hayward did eventually get across the line for a first down. And they kept on the replay a lot, kept cutting that short on TV. But you can see in a couple of them that, yeah, he eventually fell, but the ref was running in blowing the whistle already. So that it shouldn't have been blown. If they're going to blow it that soon, then they got to blow it that soon for every team, which they don't. We've seen that. But if they blow it dead, should he have been stopped short? Yeah, based on the time that the official came running in, waving his hands, he had not crossed the first down yet. Is it going to be hard to turn that over? Yeah. Yes, that's too hard to turn it over on the replay.
I think what you just said is why I think the tush push should be banned, and it's because they don't know how to officiate it.
Yeah, they don't know how to officiate it.
That's why. I don't think it's cheating or anything like that, but these officials can't officiate the play. You have Philly will jump off sides 4 out of 5 times, and then the Steelers did it one time, and they never called against Philadelphia. There was the play against New York in the Philly-New York game against the Giants where Jalen Hurts had the ball, like he's trying to get the first down. They knock it out. It should have been a fumble. They ruled him dead. They can't officiate it. Brian, what's your take?
Oh, no, you don't want my take right now.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, we do.
All right. I've never heard a man complain about something getting blown too soon. You should have not went to me there. That's in my head, and I didn't want to say it. But yeah, I thought it was a gift for Pittsburgh, but I agree with you on that. But still, I think when the whistle's blown, that I don't know why they didn't. I was shocked that didn't get overturned. I would have put I would have put the chips down again and said, "Hey, overturned." I would have lost all my money. I think because I'm getting guys' names wrong too. There we go.
All right, so let's go to Jorge. He gives us $4.99. Says, how effective is Harmon versus Benton against the run? Seems like the longer runs came when Benton was in. I think both guys have been playing really good football, and I think Benton's had some really, really good weeks the past few weeks. But I don't know. I'm not a defensive lineman connoisseur. Dave, do you have any take on
that? It's really hard to tell for sure during the live gameplay when it comes to defensive line and even offensive line to break down what they're doing. It's tough to say because honestly, when those guys are down in a 4-point stance, it's really hard for me to tell the difference between Benton, Hayward, and Harmon. Honestly, when they're all out there together, I mean, really, you need the end zone view to actually be able to see their numbers and to see how they're staying in their gaps and things of that nature. Because left to right is a lot more important in judging the defensive lineman than it is forward or back. Well, backwards bad, forwards can even be bad. But being pushed out of their lane is a big deal. So I can't break that down right now. It's really tough.
Yeah. Wilson Papa gives us $1.99. Says, I'm putting my chips down on what Bad said. Doubling down. I'm doubling down.
The chips are a thing now.
All right. Well, this has been a good show. Let the Steelers win. This is always fun. Let's do some final thoughts. Brian, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. We talked at the beginning of this week, and we were all in agreement that this was a get-right game. But a lot of people will say, get-right games, they're kind of tough to call like this early in the season. But you needed to see some things improve. Now, we heard not them talking about Pittsburgh really desperately needing this game, but Cincinnati, because they were going to fall to their 7th loss. And that is something that is really going to hurt this team, especially when it looks like Joe Burrow might be back by Thanksgiving. But for the Steelers, this was so important because you can't go 2 down in one year to Cincinnati. You can't lose both games. it's very important to have a good division record. And if they're going to win this game, win this division, they're going to be playing some very tough divisional games, 2 against the Ravens, 1 against the Browns. And that game is crazy right now because it's a tough one. I mean, it's what they call a slobber knocker, and it's going to go down to the end. So playing any of those guys, especially in their home fields, which you'll have 2 games away from home and 1 left, looks like 1 divisional game left at home for the Steelers. So this was so important for Pittsburgh. So I'm going to say this. Did they get right this week? Yes. Now, stay right. And that's what you got to do.
Well said. Dave, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Good defensive game plan. Good defensive execution. Yes, you could say, oh, it's just the Bengals all you want. But there was so much they kept saying during the game broadcast. This was the number 1 offense over the last 4 weeks of the NFL. The Steelers held them to 12 points. They held them to 12. 1 touchdown the whole game on the opening drive. And I'm so glad they went for 2 and got stuffed. That was really nice. So you can't just discredit that. And the defense scoring the points just meant that the offense didn't have to be out there on the field. The offense did what they needed to do. Like I said, particularly the second half, they scored on every possession when they only had 2. So yes, they weren't playing the strongest team in the NFL, but you know what they did? They took a team that was really hot offensively and struggling on defense, and they beat them by 22 points, which is what you want to see a team do in that kind of situation. So I'm really happy about this. I'm enjoying it right now, but like Coach Tomlin said at the end of his press conference, we're enjoying it today. Tomorrow, it's back to work.
Love it. I absolutely love it. My final thoughts are this. The Steelers played well enough to win in this game. What does this mean for the future? Well, no one knows. That's why we're going to be locked and loaded at Steel Curtain Network every step of the way. Make sure you check out steelcurtainnetwork.com. We're going to have a lot of content coming at you there. It's completely free, so go to steelcurtainnetwork.com. You can even create an account for free at the top of the page. You can comment on articles and be a part of the community. We love it. It's growing rapidly. Thanks to everyone out there that's checking it out, steelcurtainnetwork.com. Check out all of our podcasts, even those that aren't on YouTube. Like my Let's Ride podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'll hear Brian and Coach Kevin Smith on the Here We Go Steelers show tomorrow, as well as Dave Schofield on Pittsburgh Standard Time and the Mike Tomlin press conference recap every Tuesday. But that does it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, enjoy the win. Enjoy these wins. And it's a Victory Monday. We'll see you next week after another Steelers game on the Post-Game Show. Take it easy, everyone.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.